A show based on the facts, honesty, the man, the myth, the legend, Constitutionalist Joseph M. Leonard.
Welcome to Constitutionalist Politics Podcast, aka CTP. I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard, and that's L-E-N-A-R-D. CTP is your no muss, no fuss, just me, you, and an occasional guest type podcast. Really appreciate you tuning in. As Graham Norton would say, let's get on with the show! Hello, everyone. Welcome to Books, Authors, Weeks, October of 2025. I had Health Weeks in February of 2025. I had a Music Weeks, 3 of those in the month of March 2025. So here we are, October. I have a lot of fellow authors I have the chance to have discussions with. So Books, Authors, Weeks, October 25. Without further ado, let's head into a discussion with a fellow author.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Constitutionalist Podcast. Joining me today is Doug Lawrence. You remember the old video game, Dig Dug? I'm going to call you Dig. No, I'm kidding, right?
I've been called worse.
Yeah. Yeah, joining me is Doug Lawrence, author of Grief, the Silent Pandemic. I've got all kinds of health issues, but I dare say my most silent pandemic is I got no money. I'm broke because of my health issues. I'm on disability. That's my pandemic. And anyway, all kidding aside, and that's, not really a joke. It's my life, unfortunately. But welcome to the show, Doug.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, and it says here in the write-up from Mickey, grief is a profound and universal experience, a natural response to the loss of someone or something deeply cherished. Yet for many, the journey through grief is made even more difficult by a lack of personal understanding and a society rife with misconceptions about what it means to grieve. Now, we all know kind of, some people give it different names. I call it shock, denial, anger, and acceptance, mainly because one of my favorite artists, Rick Springfield, has an album by that name. Others call the 4 or 5 stages of grief slightly different. But indeed, one of the biggest problems could be getting hung up in one of those stages, I would imagine.
That's the biggest issue, right? You just hit the nail on the head, because what it ends up is, if you follow along those patterns or those stages, people start to realize, or it's not realize, start to think that, oh, gee, I missed one. I got to go back to the beginning and start all over. And no.
Right. It's a rule of thumb. It's not hard and fast. You've got to do right. If you could skip a stage, whoa, good on you. Right. But yeah, and I got ahead of myself here. Let's put the truck back in reverse, right? Beep, beep, beep. Who the heck is Doug Lawrence? Where were you born and raised? Where are you now? That sort of thing. I skipped that proverbial usual first question, so let's get back to that one.
Saskatchewan born.
Rough Riders. Yeah.
There you go. We got that.
I just saw Rough Riders. We're recording. Today is Thursday, September 4th. Over Labor Day weekend, Saskatchewan played the Blue Bombers.
Yes.
I don't remember who won, but I didn't put
I
money.
do.
Oh, do you? Did you lose?
No.
No, you won? Okay, you beat the Bombers then?
Yep.
Anyway, I got us off track already. But so you were born and raised in that area, and you're still there now, or?
I'm no, I'm not. I'm in Regina, Saskatchewan now. So I'm a retired Royal Canadian Mounted Police officer, and I kind of bounced around just a wee bit. So I took my training here after I finished my high school and tried to decide what it was I wanted to be when I grew up, and ended up joining the RCMP. And as a result of that, ended up being stationed in a number of different communities all over the territories. So I was up in the high Arctic and then bounced all over the place. I think I had 11 or 12 moves in the course of my career. So, and then I evolved to a place where I retired from the police force, got into management consulting, got into leadership, got into mentoring, got into the aspect of mentoring and grief and dealing with grief using mentoring techniques to be able to do so. So
Yeah.
3,500 hours of mentoring experience, 260 podcasts. That's enough.
Yeah. And I'm sure you've heard this joke before, but those in the South, in the States, who aren't used to dealing with Canuckians, what does RCMP stand for? Royal pain in the ass.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to vacation over there all the time. It's just a joke, people. It's just a joke.
Let it go.
Yeah. Yeah. I had very little interactions with RCMP, really. OCP would encounter them, of course, all the time, but not the RCMP, actually, because those kind of the duties are, what is the RCMP more like what we would have or call a sheriff over here as opposed to standard police? Or how would you make that distinction between OCP and RCMP?
The RCMP are primarily tasked, depending on where you are. So if you're here in Saskatchewan, they are your police force. So they deal with the criminal code. They deal with provincial statutes. They deal basically with everything. And if you were to take a look at the RCMP in a federal jurisdiction, like say Ontario, they would be dealing with customs and excise. They'd be dealing with some drug stuff, everything to deal with federal acts. They would be actually dealing with it in Ontario. It would be different in Canada for sure, because I did policing in communities, small rural Inuit communities, where you would never see that. Certainly it wouldn't be something that OPP would be.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, that's a native tribe that you mentioned, the Inuits, right? I don't know how to properly pronounce it. How's it pronounced again?
Inuit.
Okay, I was close at least. And you're not here to talk about any of this anyway. It's just an interesting aside, right? Wherever the rabbit holes open is the ones I dive down. But indeed, so grief counseling, you've been involved with. What motivated you to then decide, I've got to write Grief, the Silent Pandemic book?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
It is a myth that terrorism stopped during COVID. Unfortunately, mainstream media opted to prioritize pandemic hysteria over promoting all news. Terrorism continues. Simply hoping that it doesn't affect you is not a strategy. The new book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you, featured on The Author Show, is now available in paperback from bookstores, online, or as an ebook exclusively through Amazon Kindle. Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you by Joseph M. Leonard. Order today.
I had lots of interaction with friends, colleagues, and that who had lost loved ones and were going through some stuff. But more importantly, I lost my wife to cancer in 2021, and I had to deal with that grief and still am dealing with that grief.
That wasn't very long ago.
No, no, no. So,
And everyone has to I don't want to say move on. That's the wrong terminology, but shock, denial, anger, acceptance, right? At least accepting, coming to grips with the reality of the situation, not moving on, but accepting. Yes.
yeah, and I think, you've already mentioned it, where we all deal with grief our own special way, and you need to be able to reach out and say, I need help. And what I typically will tell people is come out of the closet, extend your hand and ask for help, and help will be there. But we can't get there if we don't begin the journey.
Right. Yeah. I dare say you would agree with the statement. The worst thing you could do is just try to pretend you could deal with it all yourself and magically heal.
Yeah, that's once again you hit the nail on the head. So
we all need. I don't want to use the word crutch, but help to some degree, friends, family, whatever, just someone, if you're in a funk, you can talk to. Yes.
yeah, that's why I'm kept relatively busy, is because I offer up myself to be able to help people navigate, their healing journey and stuff like that. And that's an important thing that we all need to take responsibility for.
Yeah, helping others allows us to help ourselves at the same time. Very biblical concept there, right? It's not all about us. In helping others, also, we land up helping ourselves. It's why I, too, write books. Some are fiction, some are nonfiction. But indeed, if I can in any way, shape, or form help someone else through something or think through something, like in my terror strikes coming soon to a city near you, there's a major suicide prevention sub-thread through it, because that's another thing. You can't, everybody's situation is different, and
Exactly.
you can't fix them. All you can do is say, I'm here if you want to talk to me. I may not be able to help you, but I will do all I can to help you find the help you need if I'm not what you need. Yes?
So yeah, short answer is yes. The thing to always remember is, though, that when you think you cannot help is when you can. And a large part of that is I tell people, I just need you to listen and hear. I don't need you to pass judgment. I don't need you to share what it is that we're talking about. I just need you to listen and hear. And it's okay if you say something that you think you shouldn't have said, or you don't know what to say.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
there's a I used to play hockey, so I'm a big NHL fan,
yeah,
right? And the NHL had PSAs called "Embrace the Awkward," right? Awkward. I don't know what to say, but I know something's up with you. I'm here for you.
yeah,
Embrace the awkward. Yes.
yes, yeah. And don't be afraid, to maybe say something that the person may take offense to. That's how you're going to learn.
Oh, honesty, right? Being honest in that situation, I think, is an important thing. Even if, as you said, you say something that might come out wrong or whatever and upset someone, if it's an honest part of your interaction and process, it's better than them walking away feeling like, oh, they don't really give a damn. They're just stringing me along. It was a complete waste of my time. They really don't care. That would be the worst you could do.
Well, and the other part is that you don't know what to do.
But if you admit that, that's not a problem.
Well, yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
It goes back to, like I said, I may not be able to help you, but I'll be here to try to help you find the help.
Yeah. I may be that shoulder that you need to cry on.
Right. That intermediary between where you are and where you need to be, someone else along the way that can help you better. I could be that stepping stone for right.
That's why, and this goes back a little ways, but that's why I was doing my research and pulling things together to demonstrate how mentoring could be part of the support structure for mental health. And it was all to do with knowing what to say, when to say, and how to say it.
Yeah. And too many times I don't want the show to be about me, but at times sharing your story through written word can also help heal. I know a lot of people, I have a book, How to Write a Book and Get It Published, hints, tips, techniques, because they don't know where to start, but they realize, hey, if I write a book, even if it's fiction, it can help me work through things. And that, again, I can help myself by helping others through this book. We could come together and have a meeting of the minds and maybe help each other.
Well, and what I have found because I've 3 books now, and the last 2 have been very well received, but I guess the most important thing that I have experienced is writing the book is therapeutic.
Exactly my point. Yes, absolutely.
And being on your show, therapeutic.
Yes, it can be. Right. Well, except I'm a jerk, so I don't help anybody. It's a joke, people. It's a joke. Right? If we can't laugh at ourselves and poke fun at ourselves, we have no business laughing at anybody else. So now you mentioned you have 3 books. I mentioned Grief, the Silent Pandemic. We may as well mention the other 2.
So book number 1 was my entry into the writing world. And it was a book that I wrote all about mentoring 101 is kind of how I describe it. And it's The Gift of Mentoring is the title. And then that prompted...
How sexist. No womenering? Again, a joke. It's a joke, people.
The second book is You Are Not Alone. And that takes us deeper into the understanding of mentoring, mental health, and those elements. And there's lots of stories that I could share that explain some of the things that I went through when I was stationed in the northern Canada, that kind of comes out of that second book, the You Are Not Alone part. And then we jump forward to book number 3, which is the one that we're talking about.
Right.
Grief, the Silent Pandemic.
Now, I want to throw in, I've tossed in some lame puns here. This is very serious topic, right? So let me, I'm not trying to make fun or belittle this topic, but my point in doing this is humor can sometimes help also. the healing process, right? We
Right.
got to keep a sense of humor, yes?
Yes.
And you mentioned that you're not alone. Oh, so many people, as said before, might get stuck in a stage of grief or whatever because they think, oh my God, I'm the only one ever gone through this. No one can relate. No one can help me. No, just knowing you're not alone. I might not be the person to help you, but you're not alone. There are people who can and be willing to help you. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
We need a little more than yes or no answers.
Just kidding.
Yeah. So, grief, the silent pandemic, does it go through like the stages, or without giving us major spoiler? We want people to buy the book. I don't want you to give away the whole book, but indeed, what will they find in the book that will help them?
They will get an understanding of the different steps to go through, or that you may go through, I think is probably a safer bet.
Oh, right, because everybody's situation is different, right? You may or may not, your mileage may vary, as the saying goes.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it's also, there's some personal stories and stuff in there. Like I share some experiences that my wife Deborah and I had as she was going through cancer and being diagnosed, and some of the different scenarios. There's some passages in the book that people have already started to rely on. The fact that they've said, you know, this was happening to me, and as I was dealing with it, your voice came through loud and clear, and it was with your guidance that I was able to continue to move on and continue our battle, right? So there's, there's been some feedback that we've got as a result of some of that that's been really rewarding.
Right.
You know,
Yeah. Now you're an author. I'm not. I mean, there's a bazillion podcasters, a bazillion. So, but have you ever thought of maybe like having a Grief the Silent Pandemic show where you talk about things about all three of your books that indeed can help people vocally? And if you do video too, I do 5 video channels, 25 plus audio only channels, to give people a chance. Everyone learns differently. Everyone wants, right? Some are visuals, some are audios, some want to read. Like right before you came on, I was going through my Constitutionalist Politics 3 book, getting it ready for publication. So I'm doing a show through people who want that way, and books for people who want that way. Have you ever considered doing a podcast, or you just prefer being on shows like this?
Well, I've done both. I have to be honest. I've done both. I have hosted, and I just seem to keep coming back to, it's almost like it's validation that my message is the right message when, a podcast host calls you up and says, "Would you come on my show?" For me, it's the validation, I think.
Yeah. And just for sake of behind the scenes, you and I kind of know each other through Mickey Mickelson, who's a publicist. He's got a lot of people, a lot of authors mostly that he represents. And like I've told him, I would love to have every one of them on, but unfortunately I can't. I don't do an everyday show. So I do like Saturday monologues and then usually a Wednesday guest drop. But I've had so many extra guests on that I've recorded. I'm doing Tuesdays and Thursdays, but still, that's only 2 guest drops a week.
Yeah.
So I'd love to have everyone on, but he sends me the sheets, and indeed I got the sheet right here that he sent. And, oh yeah, definitely want to talk to Doug.
Well, and you're the first host that I'm going to share this, that the Grief the Silent Pandemic did very well in the Global Book Awards this year, where we were successful in achieving 3 different awards. So the bronze for, I got to think about this for a minute now. Silver was for spiritual growth, and then bronze was for grief and bereavement, and the second bronze was for, it doesn't matter. I got another bronze.
Hey, you're running out of shelf space, right? Hopefully they keep coming. That's great.
Yeah.
Do you have, when did Grief the Silent Pandemic drop?
April 20th, 2020. Yeah.
Oh, so it's been quite a while then. So
Sorry,
indeed,
it would be 2021. Yeah.
yeah, still almost 4 years. So indeed, is there another in the works that you want to share, or it's hush, hush, top secret?
It's a secret.
Yeah, you never want to talk about a book and give out the title. You always need to write like in hints, tips, and techniques. You develop a working title that you're willing to share, that if it doesn't quite give it all away, and it won't be your final title. So if somebody else takes it, it's not a problem.
Right. Yeah. And we did that with Grief the Silent Pandemic. We kind of kept it on the QT, and then maybe throw out a little teaser or 2 every so often, just to kind of bait the hook. And
yeah, there you go. Right. That's the marketing and promotion side of it. That's the other thing. People think it's one of the hints, tips, and techniques in my How to Write a Book and Get It Published, right? You don't just put out a book and you're done. No. Books don't usually go viral on their own. You've got to work, you've got to promote, you've got to show up on shows like this.
Yeah.
You have to have Mickey send out releases.
There's lots, that nobody knows the full amount of stuff that goes on behind the closed doors. Really,
right. Well, there are so many new authors, new books released literally almost every hour of every day. So the competition out there is fierce. The point I like to make is there's a market for anything. I know someone needs your book. The point is, how do you let them know? How do you and them get together so they know the book they need from you is there and available? So it doesn't work through osmosis.
Yeah, I typically try to, give examples, so tell stories so that people can say, oh, I can relate to that, and I need to get the book, and then go from there. And then on top of that, I always make the offer to, if people have questions or problems or issues they're trying to deal with, they can reach out to me directly, and we'll have a conversation to see what we can do.
I was going to start to wrap it up, and the obvious question at the end is, do you have a website for people to reach out to you?
I do, and it's www.talentc, so the word talent with the letter C on the end, .ca. And you can go to the website, and it's like most websites, it's got a place where you can send a message in that. You can direct message me on LinkedIn, And failing all of those, you can send me a message direct to my email at doug.lawrence@talentc.ca.
Okay, that sounds good. And I'm going to wrap it up with a joke, right? I don't know that anyone should trust you. You know what the saying is about people with two first names, right? Doug Lawrence. What's your middle name, just for giggles? James. Doug James Lawrence. But there was not a Doug Lawrence Publishing, so you were able to avoid the necessity, like me, Joseph M. Leonard. I have to have the middle initial in there because there's a Joseph Leonard last name. His French, mine not. Mine Leonard without an O, but spelled the same. So in order to distinguish, I've got to put the middle initial in there. You didn't have somebody steal your name first before you got it. Yeah.
Nope. My mom made sure of that.
All right. Well, thank you, Doug Lawrence, author of Grief, the Silent Pandemic. I also wrote down the second one, You're Not Alone. What was the first one? I didn't write that one down.
Gift of Mentoring.
Gift of Mentoring. Thank you for your time, Doug. Take care. God bless.
God bless.
For tuning in to books. There will be several different books, authors, several different authors, books, authors, weeks for October of 2025. And remember, you can check out my books at josephmleonard.us/shop. And again, Joseph M. Leonard, it looks French. It's not Leonard, it's Leonard without an O, and I have to put the middle initial in there because there is a Joseph Leonard who is also a Christian author out of South Carolina, so I have to make that distinction. And going in line with books, authors weeks, I've joked as guests on other shows, I am not he is not me, and neither of us will be confused for Shakespeare. And frankly, most writers out there are not going to be confused for Shakespeare. They're not trying to be. There might be a few that, looking for that Renaissance era feel, but hey, it's a new millennia, people. Right? This is the here and now. It isn't Shakespearean Renaissance area. If you're looking for Shakespeare, reread Shakespeare. Take care. God bless. Love you all. Like and subscribe to Constitutionalist Politics Podcast and share episodes. We need your help. Thank you for having tuned in for Constitutionalist Politics Show. If you haven't already, please check out my primary internationally available book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you. Available anywhere books are sold. If you have locally run bookstores still near you, they can order it for you. And let me remind, over time, the fancy high production items will come. But for now, for starters, it's just you as a very appreciated listener by me. All substance, no fluff, just straight to key discussion points. A show that looks at a variety of topics, mostly politics, through a Christian U.S. constitutionalist lens. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Take care. God bless.
Wham Radio, 1600 AM and 92.7 FM is your conservative flamethrower. Weekdays, Steve Gruber starts things off at 6 a.m. Gruber gives his perspective on the issues of the day. At 9 a.m., Glenn Beck blazes the airwaves with his nationally syndicated program. From noon to 3, it's Dennis Prager. At 3 o'clock, it's Wham's own Thayrone X. On the Edge, Thayrone tells it exactly as he sees it. At 6, it's The Dana Show, your conservative alternative. At 8, don't miss Joe Pags. Weekends are filled with conservative talk as well. Fingers Malloy, Thomas LeDuc, The Abolitionists Roundtable, A Moment of Clarity with Pastor Rick, Your American Heritage with Ed Bondarenka, Dave Janda's Operation Freedom, and Dick Kupke's Trigger Talk. You can even get links to Wham podcasts from Dave, Dick, and of course Thayrone, all from their pages on our website, whamradio.com. Keep it locked on Wham Radio, 1600 AM and 92.7 FM in southeastern Michigan, and whamradio.com anywhere in the world.